Whoa.
Okay.
Oh, wow. That was fast.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. We are attempting to record in Zoom. We'll see if it works. It says it's recording.
See if it kicks us out.
Yeah. Welcome to a new thing that we're trying.
If you are here, welcome.
Yeah, if you are here. It is probably early to mid-April. It is end of March when we're recording this. And yeah, so Erin and I are trying a new project, and we thought it would be fun to include the channel in it. We like recording things. We like sharing our processes. And, you all know that I love co-authoring projects. And if you've watched our channel for any amount of time, you know that I've co-authored with Kyra before. You probably wish I would shut up about it, but now I'm here to be twice as inseparable.
Now you get even more from more of us about it. Aren't you excited?
Erin and I are going to write a book together, and we're going to bring you on the journey with us.
Yes, as much as we can. I figure like this is all like in the experimental stages. We're going to see how it goes. I don't think we're planning on doing any editing. So you get us like uncut, uncensored, well, as uncensored as we, tend to be. If you are
more profane than I am in the usual live chats.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you are really sensitive about like F-bombs and stuff, maybe tune out. But we'll try to behave ourselves as much as we reasonably can. But Megan disagrees. But no jump cuts, no like none of that. We're trying to keep it as casual, and like we want people to see behind the scenes and witness like what it's actually like brainstorming and co-writing something together. So
yeah. And it's going to be a lot of fun. This is obviously the first one we're doing. We are trying pre-recording it in a different program than we're used to. So there might be some technical difficulties, some growing pains. We'll figure it out though. And we hope you'll stick around and figure it out with us. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited. I know the stuff I've only co-written with one other person before, aside from like anthologies and stuff. And Kyra and I write fairly whimsical fantasy, which is that's not what my solo projects are like. So.
Right. Well, you have like a hint of whimsy with like a lot of darkness.
Yeah.
You're like what was it the other day that I was like, oh, so you're just your brand? I can't remember what it was.
Oh, I texted y'all because I was wearing this like super cute all daisies outfit, and I had just written this just like horrific
horrible
murder scene.
Yeah. Which is really just Megan's brand, is like
what I'm going for.
Adorable murdering. And then I'm just straight up murder, I guess.
Yes, we should probably introduce ourselves a little bit, just in case anyone is like new-ish or finds us through this.
Through the hashtags. Because we're hoping, I think, to tap into like the nano crowd, because we've done that every single year. We've been heavily involved in the community. So like we wanted to kind of launch this in April and kind of be something fun for people to kind of write along with us or brainstorm along with us or whatever you're doing. Megan, why don't you go first, or Maisie, sorry, why don't you go first and introduce yourself and what you write?
Yeah, so technically on the internet, I am Maisie Patrick. That is my pen name. I don't have anything published right now, so it doesn't super matter. And we started this channel a long, long time ago when I thought I didn't want a pen name, and then very suddenly decided I did. So most people call me Megan over here because it feels weird to tell my friends of almost 10 years to suddenly start calling me a different name. But yeah, so Maisie Patrick is what you can find me at across the internet.
And I'm E. Latimer. My full name is Erin, same as Maisie/Megan. I just go by Erin among friends, but right under the pen name E. Latimer. All of my stuff is, it's all here. I was gonna say it's all behind me. I have books, this is also what the inside of my brain looks like. I tell people like roughly the chaos. So I found these on my floor. but I also wrote these. So this is The Strange and Deadly Portraits of Bryony Gray, Escape to Witch City. Those are both middle grade and far less disturbing if you want something lighter but still spooky. And then I also wrote Witches of Ash and Ruin, which is about bisexual witches and serial killers. So that is and cannibalism. So I mean, this is a lot darker themes.
Something for everyone.
Yeah, a little bit of something for everyone. Yeah, so that's us. Welcome.
Yeah, and
new here.
Yeah, please like and subscribe if you want to do that. We're part of the WordNerds. We've been on the internet talking about books and writing for
since the beginning of time.
It feels like I've been trying to get published since the beginning of time.
Yeah, as many good writers are finding it's very, very difficult in sort of, well, in the whole publishing world right now, but in particular querying. So what we've been saying, 2022 is kind of our year of like just sort of reclaiming the joy in writing and finding something we're just like really passionate and excited and pumped to do. And we're part of a writing group with our, fellow word nerd, Kyra, and we kind of have been getting together in 2022 and just kind of rediscovering how much fun writing can be and just writing for each other more than anything else. So yeah, that's been really fun.
Yeah. And I guess if anyone watching wants to do that along with us, like we're all just working on projects that we think would be fun for us and not necessarily getting caught up in the weeds of, is anyone going to want to publish this? How would I write the query letter? Oh, is my writing good enough? And it's just been all about, well, publishing isn't going to move any faster. If anything, it's only getting slower. So why don't we just enjoy this year?
Exactly. So I think for this kind of setup for our initial one, we're kind of thinking about just I don't know, figuring out sort of where we are wanting to go with this project, what kind of tone we want, what kind of feel. So I guess we can just get into that and then pretend like nobody's watching. Do you have notes?
I grabbed a notebook just in case I wanted to.
It's so pretty.
This one it's got like some gold foiling on it. I've never had a great project for it, so maybe this is the one.
Yes. I also really like that it's a little bit spooky looking on the front.
Yeah, that's what drew me to it.
Beautiful, spooky.
So we've been talking about doing this project for a few months. I think it was like fall of last year when you messaged me about possibly doing it.
Was it that long ago?
I think so. And we have this Google Doc that we've been putting anything that we saw on the internet that we were like, this could be a vibe. This could be fun. Vibes. Yeah. So the whole doc is just called Possible Vibes. And so I think we're going to like start going through that today. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I'm kind of like, I know that we had kind of originally strayed in the direction, I shouldn't say strayed, had gone in the direction of like possible spooky church vibes, scary religion vibes. Are you still feeling that? What do you think?
So something important to know about me is that I'm always down to do a spooky religion story.
Yeah.
Given my upbringing and all of the things that went with that in my adulthood, I'm always down to write a spooky church.
Which is funny because I think like we have very like not totally similar backgrounds, but like this very similar feelings towards our backgrounds, I feel like. So I think we could definitely harness that.
Yes.
It's funny though, because like I'm right now I'm reading, I don't know where it went, the one that I kept talking about by Claire Legrand. That's like Extasia. I'm like Excelsior, that's not it. And I like the direction it's going in, but I struggled a lot with the beginning because it's like a very patriarchal town and like the women are very, very abused and it's all in a religious setting. And so like I'm torn because I really love the idea of writing something spooky where they're like taking back their power and stuff, but also I really struggled for the first few chapters of that book. And I'm like, would I want to write something like that? I don't know. Do you have similar feelings, or is it just me?
No, I think the religious background that I have was definitely very patriarchal as well, but not as much as I think your background was. And so like, I don't think I get as like, reading it, but I also don't think you necessarily need it to have a good spooky church book.
That's true. Yeah. I'm almost thinking like, I think you can sort of do spooky church without doing the really strict, abusive, patriarchal side. Because like when I think of Midnight Mass, that had definite spooky church vibes, obviously, but there was like the nutty religious lady that was very obviously
Bev.
like, yeah, but what was her name?
Bev.
That is also such a church lady name. I'm sorry.
Sorry to any Bevs.
Sorry to any Bevs out there. I just, memories. Yeah, I feel like they did that in a way that didn't make me grind my teeth through the whole first couple of episodes. So,
and this is about having fun, and that wouldn't be very fun to write.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess that is still a possibility to write something like that without having to drive myself crazy with the characters I'm writing. Yeah, I'm just reading through our document here. I have a lot of feelings about churches.
You can see this doc definitely existed in December, because you can see the exact moment that I watched Encanto for the first time.
Oh, right. Oh, because you sent me the Louisa's song, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I watched it and I saw Isabella's song and I was like, oh no, I'm having feelings.
This was that was the first time I ever heard that song. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then watched the movie and was like, oh, okay, that song. And then We Don't Talk About Bruno's just on repeat in my iTunes forever now.
Yes, I have a lot of song vibes that I've put in this. I've got like the songs from Encanto. We've got Work Song by Hozier, 7 by Taylor Swift.
All the good vibes. Just so many ideas. Oh, did you ever look at the evil building subreddit that I linked down here? It's crazy. No. There's a whole subreddit for evil looking buildings, and there's like a whole bunch of churches in there.
Oh yes, I did look at this actually. Yes.
It's funny because I'm looking at the document and I like the idea that we had of like void church kind of, but I want there to be like another layer to it. I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
Void church. Oh, because I have a note in the ideas document that says screaming into the void, and the void is just being an active listener. The void has your back.
Oh, like a friendly void.
Yeah.
I really like, this is in the In a Forest Dark and Deep as well. But I think there's room to play with it in all kinds of different ways. Like the idea of the call of the void. I really, really like that. Whether it's literal and like a literal void, or when you're that little subconscious brain is like, why don't you jump off that cliff? What would happen if you did that? Like the call of the void, right?
Yeah.
Which is so common. Apparently there's like a whole word in French, I think, for it.
Yeah, I just call those my intrusive thoughts.
Well, apparently it's very normal. Now I need to get my notes. Notebook.
I've been thinking a lot about, I've just put this in the notes today. We've been having these really awful storms here in Florida this week. And I keep thinking about like sirens that are used as like a warning. I feel like we're really starting heavy with vibes this time, which is not typically how I start a book, but the vibes are going to be impeccable.
I feel like that's a good place to start. If you're, I don't know, I've never co-written a project before, but I feel like it's a good place to start for co-writing a project. Me, who has no idea at all how to actually co-write a project.
Yeah, the first time I co-wrote a project with Kyra, she had the premise in mind. She's like, oh, what if there was like two girls stuck in one body? And they just kept swapping the consciousness back and forth. And then we absolutely pantsed the whole thing from there, which I will never do again. It was so much. It took 5 years to revise that book.
I definitely can't pants. I am not a pantser. That would be so stressful to me if I didn't know where I was going.
It was a blast at the time. And then it was like, oh no, we want to query this someday. What have we done?
So much editing now. Oops, I'm just clicking on random things. Stop it. Just opening up random documents.
Picturing you just chaotically opening programs.
That's essentially what's going on over here. Yeah. So where was I? Yeah. Oh, sirens. That reminds me of the Silent Hill. Have you seen Silent Hill with the
Silent Hill?
It's so spooky. It's like one of the scariest movies. But before actually does kind of our idea of like a void church kind of reminds me of Silent Hill a little bit, because the air raid siren goes off just before the town changes and like plunges into darkness pretty much. And it's already a chilling sound, and then when in the movie, when you hear it, you're like, oh shit, like here comes the darkness and all of the scary creatures inside that darkness. So which is kind of what In a Forest Dark and Deep is without the air raid siren. So I have to be careful about repeating that idea too many times, or people will be like, oh, one trick pony over here. Void church is a very different idea.
I'm trying to think, what if you like heard the siren and like, I'm thinking about like, did you see like M. Night Shyamalan's The Village?
A long time ago.
I loved that movie as a teenager, like so much. I saw it probably 4 times in theaters, because at the time it's like 14. It blew my mind. I was, wow,
the plot
sensational. Like, what a twist. But I like the idea of maybe like in contrast to what you've got going on in Forest, and kind of in Silent Hill, where it's like, oh, something bad is coming, hide yourself. If there was like a handful of people who were like, something bad is coming, open the windows. Like,
ooh, interesting.
That would be really fun. If like, because we're gonna have 2 characters, maybe like one is like an open the windows when the siren starts going off, and one is a hunker down when the siren goes off person.
Interesting. Okay, so that is like, we could start with the absolute basics of where we want to go, which would be 2 character POVs, right? That's obvious to me. I'm just gonna like start jotting down like a few little things that are like the very basic obvious things. So 2 POVs, switching 2 POVs.
What tense and stuff do we want?
Oh yeah, right. I'm good with whatever. I'm fairly comfortable with both.
Yeah, same.
Switching POVs. Do we want to wait for maybe characters and a little bit of plot to develop, and then
get a better sense for those first?
Do you want? I definitely will do a girl character.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, boys.
Yeah. What? I don't know how to write a man. Forget about it. Okay, so we got 2 POVs, both women. I'd love the idea.
YA or adult? YA crossover?
I think, were we leaning towards adult? I mean, it's whatever we want.
Yeah, I
right?
could go either way. All my solo projects are adult right now, but all my co-authored with Kyra projects are YA. So I could go either way.
I'm sure that my agent would have thoughts about this, but I am going to say whatever the heck we feel like.
Yeah,
so.
this is our life.
Purely for fun.
Yeah.
Again, I guess we could figure out once we have a little bit more concrete ideas.
Yeah.
We could figure out.
That's future our problem.
That's future us problem. I definitely want to do something dark and creepy. So it would either be crossover or adult, I would think. Yeah.
I have thought a lot about this, and thing I want my character to be really into is the like raising up for the full life cycle of like different bugs, like moths and stuff, and then like pinning them up and selling them once they're dead.
What is she? She's like, is she collecting them?
She like raises them in like a little tent thing, and then they live out their lifespan in this nice tent. And then once their life is over, she like pins them up and sells them as like pretty little prints.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, you froze and then
oh, sorry.
No, that was I think my internet being dumb. Okay, so it's funny because I'm writing down little notes here about, because I think that's a great thank you. My internet connection is unstable. I know. You're unstable. I think that writing down little character notes is a great place to start and kind of going from there. So I just put Megan, Bug Lady.
Yeah. I think the vibes are impeccable. The opportunity to do that to like a person later, like,
whoa,
just a huge jump, just straight into it.
Starting symbolically with bugs here.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I'm trying to think like another good starting off point would be just like, what do we absolutely want in the story? Like you have your bug lady. I'm thinking like, yeah, double POV, both women, dark. I'm definitely thinking enemies to lovers. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Enemies.
I 100% want that vibe where like one person got left behind and then the other person is back and they're like, you abandoned me. Like that vibe. Yeah.
The you abandoned me vibe.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm not passionate about which character was abandoned. I could go either way.
How do you feel about them both being sort of terrible? Okay. I was like, we could go the obvious route of like one person is good and one person is bad, or they could just generally both be terrible.
I like the idea of like one person being, I think I put this in the idea folder, but like one person is like overtly bad and you think that one of them is trying to like bring them to the good side of things, and then you find out that like no, they were just making you so much worse, like all along. That's all they wanted. I guess spoilers for some book that may or may not ever exist in the real world for anyone watching this, but
okay. Oh yeah, there's gonna be so many spoilers. The whole thing is a spoiler.
The whole first draft will be spoiled probably.
And I think that the whole like enemies to lovers, you abandoned me thing would work really well with the like one pulling the other one over to the dark side, basically.
Yeah, from bad to worse.
Yeah, that seems like a natural progression. So that kind of works really well, I think. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm thinking one is naturally terrible and the other one is sort of morally gray and then pulled over to the bad side.
But like you think for a long time that they're trying to make you better.
Yeah. I always like, there was a point when we were reading for WordNerds book group when we were reading, I think it was Beautiful Creatures. Was that what it's? No, that's not what it was called. The Beauty and the Beast one.
Oh, the Rosamund Hodge one, Cruel Beauty.
Yes. Where I really wanted him to be actually like the wicked king or whatever, and for her to then be like, yeah, screw it, those people were awful, I'm going to be the wicked queen. That of course did not happen, but I'm like, I've always kind of wanted to write something in a similar vein where that does actually happen, you know. Let's see.
I also love this meme that I've got in our ideas doc that is a person lying in bed, their eyes just like cracked awake at 2:34 in the morning, thinking, I have got to get more evil, but in a sexy way.
Relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love the idea of, I don't know if like a dark queen type thing is too cliche or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, like, in amongst the things that I really want is something sort of like a commercial concept, you know, like something that is really hooky and you're able to like spit it out in one line.
Yeah.
Which is difficult to do because I want to play with all these like ooh, evil queen things, and it's like, that's, I mean, I guess there's a way of doing it so that it is.
Yeah, I think you just need to like
a new spin.
Since we're not starting with premise, just kind of have to like refine it into something smaller, start with a bunch of broad things. And I think we've got a bunch of vibes down. So once we start kind of piecing apart, like, okay, well, this is like who this character would be as a person, this is who this one would be. If they happened to be in a chapel that slipped into the void every now and then, like, what would they do? Or if it's like a like fully fantasy town versus like a town where not everyone knows that it's doing that. I feel like that's a pretty big thing that we'll need to figure out.
We should talk about if we want to do something that is more like an urban fantasy, like set in reality, or a totally separate world. What do you have thoughts on that?
My inclination is to have it be this world, but like a really isolated town. So it's not like, you know how like all churches think that they're the one true church.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're literally the only one because we're the only one in existence. And like, it's just in this town. And like, kind of like in Midnight Mass, that idea of like, oh, like we have miracles here.
I really like the idea because, like, I think you've said this before, but I am really attracted to the like sort of creepy folklore type of things. And when you said isolated town, I like that absolutely piques my interest. I really love the idea of like some weird little church on like a cliff top at the edge of nowhere, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like kind of pagan / folklore / spooky vibes. I'm thinking like for some kind of like monster or something. Do we want to do like a monster, or do we just want to do like random void chaos vibes? Or because we could have fun with like something like the old one, or like something along the lines of like eldritch horror type thing.
I would love to do an eldritch horror.
Oh, what if one of the girls is an eldritch horror?
Yeah, that's happening.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hurt your hands when you hit the table?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So it'll be like, it's not lit, the void is listening to her, it's that she's dating the void.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to date the void?
One does.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, I love it. Okay. one of the girls is an eldritch horror.
And like with that, like this idea of like, if you are the void and the void can only be accessed in this one isolated town, then like, of course you'd be pretty mad that someone you liked just left you there, like went someplace else knowing you couldn't leave.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. So she's fixed in place to this town, right?
Yeah,
I like that idea. Okay. And is it like a natural fixed in place, or did someone make sure she couldn't leave?
I don't have a strong opinion, but I do love like a just unexplained, like, yeah, like little, what's the thing that I feel like there's a piece of media that talks about just like little slips in like the world.
Yeah, I don't know, but I like the idea.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that in a media somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I like the idea that, yeah, there was just like a tear in reality, and this like eldritch horror fell out into this tiny isolated town somewhere and quickly saw what everyone else looked like and was like, I guess I better get myself a human suit. Just sort of exists there.
I wonder, I don't want them to be a bazillion years old, because that's
she's a baby. She's a baby romance. Eldritch horror.
A baby eldritch horror.
Yeah, she could sort of be like born essentially. Like maybe she slips into a baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations
like
on your
offering or something. Like you make an offering to the void, not realizing you just created just the creepiest little baby deer with the biggest antlers you've ever seen. Like,
I like the idea of some poor woman in some, fishing town somewhere has given birth to an eldritch horror. I saw a really,
that's very spooky.
Yeah, I saw a really spooky story, or a really spooky movie. I'll try to see if I can send you it's on Netflix, and it's about a spooky fishing town. And yeah, it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's an island essentially, so it's really cut off from everything. And the atmosphere was just like, was so perfect.
I feel like I remember you telling me about this once.
Yeah,
I need to watch it.
I'll see if I can remember what it's called and then send you like the link to it, because I got massive like eldritch horror / Cthulhu / like Lovecraft vibes. And I thought, damn, that would be a really good place to set like a really spooky, like dark, horrifying kind of story. So I don't know about you, but I would love to set something in like a little fishing town, because like the culture there is so isolated, and like people, when something happens, people shut up about it, that type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also really love I kind of like the vibes of Lovecraft's types of stories, but he was such a massive dick that I would love to like take something like that and make something, less racist and offensive.
Yeah.
Not less, but entirely not.
Cut that out.
Just cut that part out, just steal that and make it better. Because there's something in me that really likes this sort of isolated, because it's kind of like a spot that's been caught out of time. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't, it doesn't have the modern technology necessarily, because there's no cell phone signals there and stuff, you can't get good reception. So yeah, it's very isolating. Are you cool with that kind of aesthetic, or would you rather have like a spooky forest aesthetic, or what are you thinking?
No, I think I like the water. I feel like forests are like very being published right now.
Yes. Can confirm.
Yeah.
We have a whole wave of pun not intended and it doesn't make sense, but a wave of forest stuff going on.
Yeah, obviously not that like sea towns aren't also in existence. Like tropes are tropes for a reason.
But I do love a good shanty sea town. What do you feel about like a lighthouse type of thing? That's spooky.
I do love a spooky lighthouse. I have a writing friend who's writing a lighthouse book. So it would have to be like the lighthouse is spooky, but no one is living in it because I don't want it to cross my friend's book like at all.
Yeah, that's fair. And also it does stray a bit from the church thing if we still want to do a church thing or not. Like I'm not.
What if the church met in a lighthouse?
Ooh, that would be good. Oh, I like that a lot. Yes. I need to have like a crazy Bible study lady at some point. I wonder, I'm assuming we want the church to be like full cult. I'm guessing, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah. Yeah. Like they're super weird. What are we thinking for? Okay, so we've got the eldritch girl who's kind of like isolated in this town. Her childhood friend or something left at one point and is now returned. I kind of a little bit want to like be a magpie and steal the shiny piece of the movie that the son is forced to come back to this fishing town because there's something wrong with his father. And they think it's just like he's lapsing into dementia, but it's like so much darker than that. And I like that idea that she's drawn back in because of something that she thinks is like just a fact of life that happens. Parents get older, but it's something much more sinister.
Yeah. Classic horror trope.
Of course. But maybe, I don't know if it's necessarily the void girl doing it or something else, because she's like not good, the void girl. But she also wouldn't want to hurt the other girl, I don't think, right? So
it is enemies.
True. That's true. Well, I think we need a third antagonistic force, which would be the cult.
Yeah.
So
something external.
So I guess the question is the void girl calling? It could be the void girl calling her back.
What if she was like had her fingers in a lot of pots? Is that a saying?
In a lot of pies, I think.
Yeah, in pies. Got lots of fingers, lots of pies. Like,
yes,
could be like manipulating things that are like within her control. Like, oh, I want to bring this person back to like make them pay, but also it has like somehow convinced the church to bring this girl back. Like there's like a lot of reasons. And maybe as a reader, you don't realize at first exactly how many ways she has pulled strings to like get this person to come back. I'm thinking like at the end of The Good Place, I think it's like season 2, where they're like trying to get out of the bad place and they're like, oh, it's a good thing we found those 4 clues you left for us. And he's like, I left you 1,000 clues. You just only saw 4.
Yeah, that's quite clever. Yeah, I kind of like the idea. What if the void girl is, so she knows she's the void, right? I think, yeah. So she,
I could see like playing it off, like, I'm out of control. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, and I like
yes,
that.
I do.
Okay, I really like that. Yeah, I really like
that.
Oh,
I just want you to help me. since you happen to be back here for no reason, I probably won't throw you into the void and eat you later. Like,
okay, I really like that idea. She pretends she's out of control, because that is like a really good trope where it's like her power's out of control. Oh no, help me.
yeah.
And then it's like, just kidding. Yeah, I really like that. And then
it's like a play too, like if like you would expect the void person to be like, oh yeah, I'm the bad one corrupting you. But then for like the longest time, it's actually the other person is the most obviously terrible person.
Yeah, do we want to do, I really like the idea of, yeah, doing something that completely shocks the readers. Where,
unless they've watched this video.
Unless they've watched this video, and then they will know everything. But like making the void girl, you know, the reveal of like, oh, she wasn't actually out of control. This has all been like a highly calculated play.
Yeah.
And then more towards the end, could we make the other girl, who has been sort of portrayed as being the more morally upright one, reveal that she's terrible as well, maybe? Yeah. Or do you want to do, she sucks her, the void girl sucks her over? I feel like flipping it on its head so that it's revealed that the non-void girl is just as terrible, maybe worse.
Yeah.
An interesting, yeah.
And I want it to be, so you know how there's typically like a series of big plot points throughout the course of a book, like 4 or 5 like big reversals. I think it would be fun to have each reversal be like a big power shift reveal.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, like up through most of the first act, you think that like this person who's coming back from wherever she's been is like the worst person, but then you find out that like the void gal called her back and like isn't as out of control as she's portraying herself to be. And then like plot point 2, you realize like, oh shit, like the other girl knew the void was like, you know, like they're just constantly
I really like that.
playing with the power structures.
Yes, I actually really love the idea that they're both like equally terrible and it's just like a trick upon a trick upon a trick.
Yeah.
And they're both like, I'm playing her, until they realize that they are both so tangled.
It's this like a stalemate, basically.
Yeah, essentially. And then at one point, they're inevitably going to have to team up to take out these cult members.
Yeah.
And do we want,
maybe they're like so caught up in their own intelligence regarding each other that you don't realize this like other threat is getting bigger in the background.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to write down that exact kind of phrasing. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So they're so caught up in playing one another and outwitting each other. I'm just muttering to myself as I write. I'm playing it.
So enamored with their own chess game, they don't realize someone's about to flip the board.
Oh my God, that's so much better than what I was writing. How are your notes so good? Rude.
Religion made me really good at metaphors.
Okay, I really like that. Okay, I'll let your chessboard metaphor be the thing. That's amazing. I had a question and now I'm trying to remember what it was. Dang it, I've completely lost it. Yeah. Oh, how do we feel about an ending? Do we want complete disaster?
I don't think it should end.
It should just never end.
Endings are the worst.
I feel like it's inevitably not going to be a completely happy ending because they're both terrible people.
I like the idea of an ending that's happy for them and no one else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or like, you know.
What about if their ultimate goal, they in the end they realize is just to burn everything down? Something along the lines of just destroying the whole entire island type of thing. It's a
little too much midnight mass.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a very midnight mass ending.
Yeah. But I do love the visual of them just being alone in this town now.
Watch it burn to the ground. It's hard to say where, like, usually if I have like an idea of, we do have an idea of the setting. So I wonder if we ended in the lighthouse type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we want it to, oh yeah, the church is a lighthouse. So I mean.
Safe bet the climax probably happens there.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe if we want to do like a symbolic, like the lighthouse crumbles or something, or
what if like I just have this like visual in my head of like this lighthouse that has been a beacon of light for this whole city. It like going out and just like the void bursting out of it instead of like a pillar of light.
That's really good.
And having that be like the last visual of the book.
Void lighthouse. Hell yeah. God, I love that. And yeah, I really want to, I love that idea because I really feel like religion does lie heavily on metaphors. So if we can have the cult talking about like, let your light shine, and like, oh, just so like we're meeting in the lighthouse or spreading the light. And then, yes, that is so good. That is so good.
And something I think about a lot, having been like raised in a really high demand religion, is this idea of like, I don't know if people said this to you, but like, oh, you can like leave the church, but you can't leave it alone. Like that sort of idea. And just this, the fact that like, even after you think you are so far past all of these things that have happened, like, even if you're like, I never think about it, like, I'm way beyond this. It's kind of like often the people who say they're the most unaffected by like a traumatic religious upbringing are the ones who are still unintentionally letting it inform so much of what they do and like how they behave. And so I think having it be like a parallel is a very like interesting thing to me. This, like, I really I'm like so that. Different, but am I that different? You know?
Yeah. Why don't we do, how do you feel about one of the girls? I think it would have to be the girl that goes away and then comes back. Maybe she leaves the island because she grew up in that cult and was and was affected by that upbringing.
What if
what
so if it's an adult, then it's like, I guess you could get away with it in why it would just be less sexy. Just this idea of like worshiping the void, like
okay, it's an adult. Ooh, I love that idea. Yes. Okay.
It makes me think of the Taylor Swift song "False God."
Ooh.
Everything makes me think of a Taylor Swift song.
I know. I'll have to look up that song.
It's great. Every Taylor Swift song is great.
Okay, yes, I love that. Maybe, okay, is the void a known entity to the cult initially? Do they know there's something in their town that like is pure darkness or not? I think it's a good question. I like the idea of the void being subtle at first. Like things start to happen in the town. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really like as opposed to like light and dark, more of just like a power is power situation. So like even if, you know, like biblically the locusts are a plague, but it's still a God thing, you know?
Yeah. So
Even if like bad things are happening, it'd still be very easy to be like, God is telling us something, you know?
So do we want her to be fucking stuff up and then the cult thinking that it's signs from God, or that they know there's this presence in their town? I think they would be trying to destroy her, or
yeah, I don't think they know that she is what she is at the beginning, at least.
Yeah, that could be kind of, or they could know and it's like revealed that they know, and that's one of the twists, essentially.
Yeah, that like,
or that
she's about to display this power and they're like, we offered you to the void at your birth, you don't think we know about this? Like,
oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good. Okay, I like that. I like the idea of like the cult thinking they know everything, doing an offering like this and having it terribly backfire on them.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe playing with the idea of like, you made an offering you didn't need to make. Like no one asked you to sacrifice anything.
Like I definitely want there to be a events are escalating type of thing. And I think it would be, you're just setting things on fire.
The candle.
I
spotted my candle and immediately I was like, I need to light that.
Now you can just steeple your fingers and have the light flickering on your face. There you go. Perfect. Evil void time. Yeah, I definitely like the idea of things in the town escalating and maybe even having it look like a traditional horror type of book initially, and then finding out it's not some faceless spooky horror movie monster, it's a girl that literally has a void in her type of thing. So making it look pretty standard initially type of thing.
Yeah. Like, oh, there's a monster.
Exactly, yeah. And then the audience or the readers don't know that one of the POV characters is the monster.
I wonder if we need to do third person then, POV, to get away with that.
Probably. Yeah, probably. So we're back to unreliable narrator again. Unless we make it that she does not know initially. But I don't think that works though, because we want her to have this like big elaborate spider web that she's constructed, right?
Yeah.
So,
and she could always like, she doesn't have to be like the god of the void. It could just be like, I know I have a connection to it. I know I'm super powerful. I know no one here could stop me if I wanted to do something like that sort of thing, without it needing a hierarchy.
I also think that we could do something where she's a bit unreliable, but not like outright pretending, where if we made it that the town already has weird stuff happen in it like fairly regularly, but things are just like increasing a little bit, we could write it in a way that's like, oh, you know, this other thing is happening, this happened last month, but like, oh, it's so much bigger this time. Oh, interesting. Like in a way that doesn't blatantly reveal that it's her, but also isn't so obviously her, like pretending from her point of view that she's surprised and shocked by it, right?
Yeah. Maybe like, you know, you have a town where miracles are possible or whatever, like whatever they think is going on, like their town is special. It's it's like a chosen one. And then like, as you're unearthing things, it's like some things are actually happening and some things are faked.
Yeah. Like the cult fakes things.
Yeah. And sometimes they don't, but sometimes it's fake.
Yeah. I like that.
And so then it makes it that much harder.
Yeah, I also really like that too as a kind of a plot reveal as well at some point. If you think initially that it's really obvious that the cult is pretending, and then you learn later on in the book that like, holy shit, okay, not all of it is pretend. I really like that as a reveal as well, particularly if the main character that has moved away and come back grew up and like so divorced herself from religion, was like all the cult was bullshit, was all made up, you know, they like the fainting in the Holy Spirit was all like they were just falling over. And then she comes back and as an adult she starts to realize not all of it is fake and some of it is weird and dark, you know.
Yeah like maybe she like saw something faked very early on, and so she assumed all of it was,
which was one of the reasons maybe that she, you know, grew up atheist now.
And maybe like the catalyst for her leaving was in their like teenage years when Void Girl confided in the other girl that like, no, it's not all fake, I can do some of these things. And she was like, this is a bit much for me. This seems like something I don't need to be involved in, and just like left.
Like, do you think that she thought she was a liar or was too like brainwashed by the cult and left, or was she just like, because I think
maybe like plays it off as like you're brainwashed, but then has like a little piece that's like, spooky. We'll see what happens after I'm far beyond this city's limit.
So we want to do like a you left me thing. Does she know something is up with Void Girl? Like, does she spook her originally? Oh, how about how about she does spook her originally, and when she does confide or show her something even.
Yeah.
And then she gets freaked out and leaves, and so she's away for 5 years, 10 years, and manages to convince herself in that time that it wasn't real, that she imagined it. So she comes back as like, so she comes back as like an atheist maybe. Right. And then we get this, because I do like that, because it would give us the juxtaposition between Void Girl, who is firmly entrenched in this town. She knows there's spooky shit going on. She's used to it. She's, she believes it's supernatural type of thing. And then we get the other girl who's atheist and is like, this is all bullshit. This is what the cult did. And so you get these two different positions, and slowly the other, atheist girl starts to realize, oh, Void Girl wasn't lying. I really did remember that correctly. And I just convinced myself, so
and I think probably someone who was like so generally anti-religion, spirituality would still see this as like something's fucked up here, but it's not a god, obviously. But
she could easily, this is just firmly in adult land, but like if she is something like a psychiatrist, say, and she leaves and she becomes a doctor or a psychiatrist, and she could even like write a book about the town or something, or like do a study on the town and be like, I think that they're isolated and all suffering from like a case of what's that called when there's two people that go into like one person has a delusion and it's shared with the other person. I can't remember.
I don't remember what that's called.
I don't remember what it's called, but it's like an actual scientific thing. So she's studying something like that, and she could say like, oh, this is what was going on with the cult. And that could be an idea for her to come back, maybe.
What if she's a writer?
Oh, I do like that idea. I'll never say no to that.
And so like still like the coming back to like steal this story.
Yeah.
But like a going back to find like a classic haunted house. Like I'm showing up to figure out what really happened. Like,
yeah, because she wants to write a story about, I still think she should solidly think that like it was all lies, and she's gonna write a story and like maybe like expose them or something. Yeah, like write a book. Maybe she's gonna write a book about her.
You froze for a second.
Oh,
maybe she's gonna write a book about her
childhood, like her messed up childhood. Because if she has family in the cult, say she was raised in the cult, and she has to come stay with her family who is part of the cult, they're going to be annoyed with her because they suspect she's going to write an unflattering book about them, and B, she's going to be in this constant like low level rising tension because she's living with this nutty cult essentially.
Maybe there was like one motel on this house and it is like gone. Like she gets there and the motel is like burned down or something.
I like that.
Damaged in a storm.
And now she has to live with her parents. Oh yes. I think burned down is good, because, and they'll be like, oh, and her parents will be all weird about it and be like, oh, it's the electricity.
It's a freak accident. Yeah.
It's just a short circuit. Yeah. Okay. I really like that. Was one motel. I even love the idea of maybe like she actually arrives at the motel and it's burnt to the ground and is like,
can I check in still?
I would rather live in the burnt out husk of a Motel 6 than go to my parents' house. So
yes.
Okay, I like that. Was one motel, she arrives and it's burnt. She arrives and it's burnt. And her parents are weird about it.
Yeah.
This is like classic horror movie beginnings. And I am all about it. I'm very excited.
Yes. I used to be like, oh, you gotta stay away from tropes no matter what. And then I started reading. I used to like only read YA, and I was just face down right in the YA blogosphere of like, you have to do all these things. And then I don't know, like 4 years ago, I started like really heavily reading more adult horror, and it was just like, no, all these people love these tropes. Like they reuse them for a reason because they're well loved and they like inspire the right feelings in readers.
Exactly. And especially if we like, I really love the idea of us tapping into these like well-worn, well-loved tropes and then having some kind of reveal or twisting it on its head. Like, you know, in a classic horror movie, you would get this exact same setup with a spooky town, but the cult would be the true bad guys, right? Like, so we can do a reveal where it's like, oh, we find out it's a lot more complicated than that, right? So I love the idea of like fully leaning into those tropes, like spooky town, weird parents, they're part of this cult. You're like, obviously reveal that it's her childhood best friend that's like doing all the spooky shit in town. And like, I really like the idea of the cult. Maybe for a time we think that they are the good guys, like maybe they rescue her from Void Girl and we think like, oh, these are the good guys, and then we get another reveal that the cult is so much worse than the Void Girl.
Or like your first thought is like, it's a cult, you know. You can't really put lipstick on a cult. But then they like start doing all these really nice things that make you kind of like, well, they are a cult, but they are helping you.
I like the idea of them, like the Void Girl maybe doing something that seems like she's trying to kill her. Maybe she even is trying to kill her, like sucking her into some kind of void, if that's a little on the nose, but something along those lines. And her mom and dad and the cult come in, swoop in and save her and look like the heroes. And then they can reveal stuff to her, like that, and it all begins to click or whatever.
Yeah, like
so
once
the
she's
cult,
actually paying attention to what her
yeah,
parents are doing, she realizes like, oh, the cult's doing stuff too.
yeah. Well, and maybe she realizes like she had a terrible childhood, which she thought was because the cult was weird and secretive and horrible, but she realizes the stuff the cult was doing all along was to keep her safe from this void girl. So that reframes her whole childhood essentially.
And
And
then
us,
it's like a double backstab when they like turn
exactly,
around.
exactly. So she thinks, oh, I was wrong all along. Not only are they real, this religion is real, but like they were saving me from this person.
Ooh, I like the idea of like we protect our own. And so you think inherently like I'm from here, I'm part of your own, but then they like the reversal of you think you're ours, but you left us too. You're not our own anymore.
Right. She's an outsider.
Yeah, like you betrayed
Right.
the cult.
Right. Finds out cult was. Okay, like this. Yeah, I really like that. I'm like, I just basically want to give our readers whiplash because we're jerking them around so many different times.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought this was the way it is? No, plot twist.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like that idea. Yeah, and that like, I really like the idea of being a little bit evil and making it this like tender moment where she is like, oh, my parents were hard on me, but they did it because they loved me and they were terrified that I was going to get sucked in by this person. And yeah, having this like revelation where she's like starting to heal because she realizes, these people did love me. And then yeah, basically turning around and having them yank the carpet out from her.
Oh, they were also working with like,
yeah, like, oh, they kicked me out right away because as soon as you leave, you're not one of them anymore.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, so I feel like we've got a really solid like premise and direction. Have a character who you're like drawn toward more, that you're like, ooh, I'd like to write that POV.
Not really. I know that your only idea for your character so far is that you want
the bug thing.
The bug thing. That could be the writer or that could be the void girl. Just one sec. She's not one of them. I know we're both writing notes, but I just want to make sure I have them as well so I can like kind of look back.
No, that's good.
And be like, she left. Okay, that's a good question. Do you have one you're more drawn to?
Not this exact. I feel like I could go either way, but I'm hesitant to start really hammering down their personalities until we know like which direction each of us are gonna go.
Where does Void Girl live on the island? And is she by herself? Like, do we want to live? I'm picturing her living somewhere on the outskirts sort of town, like maybe house on a cliff top type thing. I would have said lighthouse, but that's where the cult is meeting.
Yeah.
Also, was Void Girl part of the cult at one point? She wasn't she? Because
at least her family was, if she's like an offering scenario.
Yeah. And maybe
I think I like the idea of her being involved, regardless of how much she thinks what they're doing is like legit. I like the idea of like there's so many people who are parts of like spiritual organizations who are like not even necessarily all in, but like, oh, what they're doing suits me, like it suits what I need to do.
So we could have her sort of participating in the cult initially if we wanted to. I mean, they would be a way of control. Like I picture them as sort of controlling the town.
Yeah.
So so it depends on her personality, right? Because she could be like, I want to be left alone. I do feel like if she's doing stuff to the town, it's probably because she wants to screw it up and hates the town or the cult, right? So maybe could we make it that she was a part of the cult, or maybe she's in the cult because she wants to mess it up from the inside out?
I kind of like the idea of her being like the poster child for it.
Ooh, yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, I
we
really
made an
like
offering and now like our town is blessed.
Oh yes. Okay.
And so we put her up on this pedestal.
Yes. Okay. I really like that, because also, even though like they're natural, like big clashy magical enemies later, they're going to initially be enemies right away, because this is an outsider and an atheist coming into her town, and she's the cult leader and all this. So okay, I really like it. Void Girl is poster girl for cults. I also really like the idea of her, her seeming really like kind of righteous initially, and then you're realizing slowly that she's really, really not.
Yeah.
And I definitely want her to be actively sabotaging her own cult.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be really fun. Okay, so Void Girl is, maybe she does live in the lighthouse and she's holding these meetings in her house. What do you think? Or she could live somewhere else.
What if she like lives at the base of it?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a little cottage at the base, and to get into the lighthouse, you have to pass her house.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. House at base. And I assume this is a lighthouse that's just, or yeah, do we want it to be like on a rock in the near distance type thing, or do we want it to be on the actual island? So it's like a big island with a lighthouse on the tip, or?
That's a good question. I don't have a strong feeling about it. I could go either way.
I think
maybe more accessible.
Yeah, it would make it more accessible. There are like potential vibe. There's vibe potential in like stormy sea, having to row out to the lighthouse for a scene if we wanted that. Depends if we want water scenes or not. I know you have no love of boats.
I can do a spooky rowboat.
Okay, spooky rowboats
are not my thing.
We definitely have to do like storm at sea type of thing. Not necessarily
at sea and not have a storm.
Even just a short rowboat ride. We could do both and make it so that it's like around a cove, like an inlet. And so you either have to drive for like a little distance, or you can take a shortcut across and rowboat it up. Because then we have the potential to do a spooky rowboat scene if we want, or they just drive.
Yeah.
Plus, I kind of like the idea of it being like a horseshoe, like a little horseshoe inlet. So she is kind of isolated. Are you drawing a map?
Little horseshoe inlet. So if it's a horseshoe shape, like so, where are you picturing? Oh, it's reversed.
I don't know, just on one of the ends.
Okay.
I'm sort of picturing in my head like a fairly like mid-sized island.
I don't know how to draw a lighthouse. I accidentally drew something else like a penis that I didn't want to draw.
Oh no!
We'll just put stripes.
This is a really R-rated brainstorming session.
Now I can't show my notes anymore.
With graphic images, please censor your screen. Okay, so I'm picturing I'm picturing a mid-sized island with I cannot map, so it's hard to like an inlet, but at like a little part that curves out from the island, like a rocky outcrop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But in order for them to have to take a rowboat, I think it would have to be like a fairly sharp turn off, like an arm off the island kind of.
And it could be a thing that like that's a racket for most people, but for spooky ass Boyd girl, she's like, this is when I'm in my element.
I get power from the
my devotions on my way.
Okay, yes, I really like this. Do we want the writer girl to be completely human, completely mortal, normal? And then she just falls. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do like the again, to use the same word, the juxtaposition between her falling for the void and essentially being pulled over to the dark side, so to speak. But yeah, I kind of do want the writer girl to be completely screwed up too. Like there's a reveal that she's even more messed up than the void.
Yeah.
To sort of be like, yeah, humans can be just as messed up as
exactly.
eldritch horrors. Yeah.
And maybe like the big cult twist is something along the lines of you've got the normal person, you've got the void girl. Twist, the cult has figured out how to tap into the void. Like sap from a tree.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, so I guess the other thing we have to figure out is who does what POV. The void girl is going to be more difficult, I think, probably. Well, they'll both be complicated, but the void girl will be actually not
unreliable.
She'll be unreliable, but I feel like we could also make atheist girl unreliable, because if it really is worse than void girl, so to speak, she'd be unreliable, right? I think we also have to figure out what flavor of worse we want her to be. Like if she has done awful things, or if she has the potential to be even more awful than void girl. Like I don't think, if something like making her a serial killer is kind of boring. I don't necessarily want her to be like that type of traditional evil, but like if she at the end has more of a bloodthirsty streak, say, than void girl, if void girl's like, I'm fine to just leave it alone, and she's like, no, I have to destroy this whole cult, all of them, that
like,
type of thing.
I could, like if she finds out like, I could shut the doors to the void, like it would like wreck this town. Maybe they like rely on it economically or something. Also, I could just turn off all your powers, and who knows if you would die.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Like maybe she's more stone cold than even the void is, because like maybe we get this idea that the void girl is dragging her over to the dark side, but the void girl is been in the world for 17, 18, 20, however old we want to make her, years.
75.
So 75 years old, so sexy.
Their grandmas.
Void grandma. So she's been like, she's got some humanity to her, like some small scrap of it, and maybe we see that in the end where she's like, well, I don't need this town, there are other things I could go and do. And then maybe the other girl's like cuts that off at the root and is like, no, we're ending this. And maybe she's the one that flips the so-called switch to do the the void lighthouse trick.
Like a fun I keep using the word reversal because that's like all that's coming into my head, but a role reversal of like, you left me to start with and now I'm willing to go, but you're the one who says no and just burns the boats, essentially.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So maybe void girl showing like that one last scrap of humanity, and maybe we are like, oh, is atheist girl going to be like, pull her over to the good side, and then she's like, no, let's end this. Yeah, I do. Yeah, role reversal is a good, and it's another one of those power reversals that we were talking about. Like the twist is like but like in a slightly different way, because they're a team now. I really like that. Okay, cool. I think we've like sort of sorted a lot of this out, but we still need to figure out who's doing which POV.
Yeah. I feel like that will be a good place to end this chat once we figure out who's going to do which POV, and then we can meet back.
We could even sort of close the chat and figure it out over the next couple days. I'm like, oh God, I'm like in Cuba in 6 days, which is so stressful to me. And everyone else is like, Cuba sounds so nice. I'm like, I have hives. That's how I'm like an anxious, neurotic person. But yeah, once I get back from Cuba, maybe we can do another one of these. Okay, my computer's freaking out. Maybe we can do another one of these and like in that time, figure out who wants to do what POV. Like as we're thinking about this, I'm
gonna make us a new Google Doc.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's perfect, because then we can sort of dump our brain thoughts
actual plot ideas. And
yeah, this is the story. Yeah, and as I kind of like the idea of like letting this percolate and steep a little bit and deciding like, and if you or I has like strong ideas flowing about either one of the POV characters, I have a feeling that will happen. I have a feeling that either you or I will be like, I'm getting all these ideas for this character.
Maybe it'll be spicy and we'll show up both feeling it about the same character.
And then we'll have to record us duking it out. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, an actual battle. Just like I can't figure out.
I never know my left side from my right in this one. So
yeah,
it'll be a pretty sad battle. But I am like, if you were like, I strongly need Void Girl, I will not fight you over it. You can have either one, because I think either one will be a challenge. So
very fun, I think.
Exactly. They're both terrible people, and I love writing terrible characters. So.
Same. So I think in summation, we've settled on spooky cult church, big chess game, everyone's doing things.
Yes.
Third person, I'm assuming past tense.
Yes. Yeah. What if I just threw second person present tense at you? What would you even do? Just leave the chat? Like,
yeah.
Goodbye.
I would just scrub myself from the internet. You'll never see me again.
Like everything is deleted.
Yeah. I know like Kyra hates third person present. I think third person present is fun, but like if I tried to pull third person present with Kyra, she would block me.
I don't mind it. I don't think I would be comfortable in it. And especially if we're trying to write like a complex POV with like morally gray characters and like characters that are like not being totally honest. I feel like throwing an extra thing in, I would short circuit my
extra thing to figure out.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 POVs. There's going to be an enemies to lovers romance with the girlies. The women, I guess.
Yes,
since it's probably an adult.
Probably adult, I think, at this point.
I like that there could be a lot of years with a YA. Someone can only have been gone for a couple of years, and like they show up after a couple of years, and you still have the sense if I don't know this person, but it's not the same as if it's been a really long time.
And there's been like this big stretch of time where like a lot of stuff could have happened.
Yeah. And you can stew on things.
Yeah. And I feel like we don't even have to make them in their like 40s or something to have a big stretch of time. Because like, I know for a lot of people that grow up in strict religious homes, they're like, as soon as I hit 18, I'm gone.
Yeah. Right? Or even before.
Yeah, even before. Yeah, maybe she was a teenage runaway, basically, that was like, as soon as I hit 17, as soon as I hit 16, out the door, you know?
And so like for her parents, it would feel kind of prodigal daughter returns.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Ooh, I love the idea of having like, they should have like a spooky cult party for her when she comes back. And be like, the prodigal daughter. And she's like, oh, I hate this so much.
Oh, no.
And then Void Girl can be the one that like threw it because she knew that the other girl would hate it so much.
Yes. I do love horror that is funny. Like equally as funny as it is dark.
Yes.
Okay. So we've got all that. We'll figure out, think about what we've come up with over the next week. And then next time we talk, we'll probably be kind of honing into like a pitch, I guess. Like what's the log line for the book and who's going to be writing which characters.
Perfect.
Because
like I don't think we have to worry too much about stuff like querying and back blurb and like But I do want to be able to, like, if someone goes, what are you writing with Megan?
Yeah.
I want to be able to be like, here is this really cool thing in one sentence.
Yeah.
Because I think that kind of helps.
Tweet about it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And I'm not on Twitter, but I will actually go on Twitter to retweet you specifically about this story because I am excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's nice to have if like we write this whole book and then we're like, you know what, I would like to do something with this book.
Yeah,
like, you know,
exactly.
You don't have to be thinking about publishing all the time to do small things that would be fun for you to do.
Exactly. Plus I do like, I hate writing back blurbs, but I do genuinely enjoy putting together like a little, like a log line almost, you know, like
something you could say verbally, like when you're not trying to get it published, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to make someone go, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Like your friends be like, oh, that sounds cool.
Exactly. Like, how can we pitch this to Kyra so that she's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I will wrap us up then. Cool. Hopefully you all enjoyed watching this. If you didn't, I don't know why you're still here. We've been going for over an hour. But if you are still watching, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked this and would like to see more of it. This is like, we don't do regular videos on the WordNerd channel anymore, aside from our live chats. But we will be posting these throughout the duration of the first drafting process. And like we mentioned before, we're going to be talking about everything so that you can kind of see behind the curtain, see what it's like writing a project and particularly co-writing one.
Exactly. And if there's like, this is like totally new for us. So yeah, we really want to do like a behind the scenes look. So if you guys think of anything that you want to hear us talk about, like as far as like the drafting process or ideas that you think that we should try, well, it's like, I'm not really fully sure how, like, I guess we can do videos of us drafting together, talking about the draft, but obviously we can't probably like throw up like this is the Word document because we like I don't want people to see that. Like, it'd be real rough initially.
Snippets.
Yeah, maybe snippets, or we could even read out like this was my favorite sentence for the week, or that type of thing. So if you guys watching, if you have like, I want to hear your log line, I want to hear like the first paragraph or the first page that you guys have written, let us know what you want to see as we're getting into drafting. So,
and I know something that like has popped into my mind, has probably popped into other people's. If you're watching this, is just the idea of like, oh, you're putting like a whole ass idea on the internet. And I feel like the idea that we need to be worried about someone taking a whole idea and doing it on there. It's like, it's a YouTube channel. Like someone could steal your idea just about anywhere if you're talking about writing. And this is a fun project. And, you know, in doing this like experiment or whatever, like showing people what writing is like, I feel like there has to be a measure of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Openness, maybe.
Yeah, openness, like being willing to share an idea. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime you share any idea, regardless of like what stage of the process it's in, someone could like steal it, right? Like when someone publishes a book announcement, it's like, oh, it's not coming out for 2 years, I could write that. Like it's not going to be the same execution, you know, like, so of course. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I guess to me, the idea of being able to share a first draft from start to finish, like the process of doing it, that is more important to me than having like this perfectly unique idea that has not been spoiled for anyone and no one knows what's happening in it, you know? Like I have books like that in my ideas folder, in my drafts folder. And so I'm really, really excited to be sharing the whole process with the channel.
Same. And I don't think like, it's not usually something I worry about, particularly because what we're doing with this book in particular, I think it is really fresh. I think it's original. I think it plays on horror tropes and twists them on their head, but I don't think it would be possible to write it the same way, obviously, that Megan and I are going to write it. And I also don't think that it's so precious that we wouldn't share it. You know, it's going to be like how we write it is probably also going to change, you know, like as we're writing it, as we're editing it, the plot could drastically change, right? So yeah, I'm not worried.
Yeah. So I just feel, you know, someone's gonna like come in the comments and be like, someone's gonna steal your idea. And it's like, well, if they do, they do.
Yeah.
People are not great people sometimes, but most of the time
also
people
like
are awesome.
also like I'd like to see you write it faster than us. Yeah. Good luck with that.
And just, you know, this is on the internet, so people will know we came up with the idea. If you want to steal it and make $1 zillion, just put me in
just know that you will be sharing the cash with us.
Yeah, send me a Starbucks gift card.
At least a latte.
With the like $350 that publishing is paying people right now.
I'm kidding, right? The $2.99 that you make from
this give us part of the Starbucks gift card that the Big Five publishing house gave you. Sorry, that was my pessimism showing. But yeah, it's going to be really fun. I'm really, really excited for the project.
Me too. Now I'm really excited. It's so spooky.
Yes. So hopefully you'll all follow along. We're going to have more of these videos up. We're pre-recording a little bit so that we can have a bit of a head start. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.